Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. One of the basic principles of computer science and journalism is garbage in, garbage out. Here's a brand new climate study done by University of Southern California computer science assistant professor. Rising sea levels could trigger a mass migration that would force more than 13 million people living along the coastal areas of the United States to relocate inland by 2100, according to a new study by USC researchers. When Hurricane Harvey slammed into the Texas coast in 2017, displaced residents flocked inland, trying to rebuild their lives in the disaster's aftermath. Within decades, the same thing could happen at a much larger scale due to rising sea levels. The study is the first to use machine learning to project migration patterns resulting from sea level rise. Wow, machine learning, that sounds really impressive. Computers are really smart these days. My profession used to be designing microprocessors, which are the brains of the computer, so I know exactly how smart they are. If computer software is given garbage as input, it will spit garbage back out. It just does it really fast. A computer is no smarter than the person who's programming it and the person who's providing the data. This prediction that the coasts are going to flood by the year 2100 is actually quite a reprieve. In 1989, it was predicted that they were going to flood by the year 2000. June 30th, 1989, grim forecast. A senior environmental official at the United Nations says entire nations could be wiped off the face of the earth by rising sea levels if global warming is not reversed by the year 2000. Coastal flooding and crop failures would create an exodus of eco-refugees. So the current prediction of 2100 has actually granted Earth a century-long reprieve. Also in 1989, experts said that sea levels would rise between 1 and 4 meters by the year 2030. In 1988, they said that the Maldives would drown by the year 2018. The world's leading climate expert, NASA's James Hansen, predicted that Lower Manhattan would be underwater between the years 2008 and 2018. In 1952, experts said that the polar ice caps were melting at an astonishing and unexplained rate and were threatening to swamp seaports by raising the ocean levels. In 1934, experts predicted that melting icebergs would engulf the world and New York City was going to drown. Almost every day there's stories in the press that Florida is drowning because of sea level rise. The top picture shows what the beach at Fort Lauderdale, Florida looked like in 1960 when they filmed the movie Where the Boys Are. And the picture at bottom shows what that same beach looked like in 2014. As you can see, the beach has hardly changed at all, and there's not much indication that people are fleeing from the Florida coast. Now let's take a look at the West Coast. This animation transitions between an 1871 high tide picture taken at the Cove in La Jolla, California, into a more recent high tide picture. As you can see, there's been hardly any change in sea level since the year 1871. One of my best friend's grandfathers had the opportunity to purchase a lot of the land around the Cove a long time ago for several tens of thousands of dollars. They didn't do it, and now that property is some of the most valuable in California. The reality is that Americans have been flocking to the coast, not away from them. According to the National Ocean Service, from 1970 to 2010, the population of coastal counties increased by almost 40% and are projected to increase an additional 10 million people, or 8%, by the year 2020. Coastal areas are substantially more crowded than the U.S. as a whole, and population density in coastal areas will continue to increase in the future. In fact, the population density of coastal shoreline counties is over 6 times greater than the corresponding inland counties. America's most famous climate alarmist, Barack Obama, just purchased a $15 million summer home on the beach in Massachusetts. None of the rich climate alarmists live like they actually believe anything that they say. And you can pick up this home on the beach in Florida for the bargain price of $159 million. The reality is that there's been very little change in sea level. This is the NOAA tide gauge for Alameda, California, located in the San Francisco Bay. It shows only a tiny change in sea level since the year 1940. Everything claimed in the University of Southern California study and parroted by the press was the exact opposite of reality. And when coastal cities do get destroyed, like Galveston was in the year 1900 and Miami was in the year 1926, people simply rebuild the cities and make them better than they were before. The press is happy to parrot climate junk science from a computer science assistant professor or a 16-year-old girl who doesn't attend school, as long as they say what the press wants to hear. When a person says what the press wants to hear, that makes them an expert. When it comes to the press corps, it's garbage in and lots more garbage out. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science and propaganda for a long time.